from all the connections that you're making.
Just from all, well, I'm a introverted IT guy, so it takes its toll. But so yeah, so having an opportunity to practice and also do some ideation around what are potential ways that we could collaborate and things like that. So it's been really useful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
Sure.
Okay, so we are live on YouTube, and we are also recording this. So if you want to have a recording this, I'm going to ask you to send me your email. Send me an email, and I'll put that back in the chat one more time, just so it doesn't get buried. And if you send me it, I will be happy to send you the link once I have actually edited it and rendered it and made it ready for public consumption. Virio, are you ready to start?
I am absolutely ready.
Okay, so then we will. I will do an introduction, and then we will get started. So, this is Widen Your Gaze Fridays. This is the inaugural webinar for that. Widen Your Gaze is intended to bring subject matter to you, the audience, so that you can kind of see it in a bit of a different way. It's being able to kind of look at the bigger picture. And when I was thinking who I wanted to have a guest speaker, Virio was the first one that came to mind, because not only have I got a lot of interest from people on imposter syndrome, but there's and because of that interest, that is why I chose her on this, because she's a belief repatterning coach. And further to that, I've actually used her services on many times to help me shift some of the beliefs I have around money and with my kids and stuff like that. So you're in really good hands, and I'm just really excited that she's agreed to do this, and I will be passing on some of her information. Thank you, everyone who has showing your video or turned on your video. I really appreciate that. And without further ado, Virio.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. I want to give just a gratitude to you first, Luke, for a couple of things. Many of you already know Luke, who are on the line here today. I really was able to fine tune my elevator pitch and knowing what do I do? What do I offer women? And it was really working with Luke that helped me to get really clear on that, so that I could then continue sharing with all of you. So super grateful for that. So if you haven't worked with Luke and got him to help you with your elevator pitch to really get clear on what it is that what is your superpower? What is your gift? What do you serve people with? I highly recommend that. So thank you so much, Luke, for helping me to get clear. And thank you to those of you who were on a little earlier. I'm actually in a plan B for I have no internet where I currently live in my little cabin on the lake. So this was a quick shift up here, borrowing my parents' office space. So thank you for your patience as I'm adapting to this, sharing with you in a different way here today. So I would love to get to know you a little bit more, and I might have Luke sort of share the chats in a moment. What I would love, first of all, is I'd love you to type in the chat, what drew you to show up here to learn 7 proven steps to stopping imposter syndrome. What are you hoping to gain from being on the call right now? And
yeah, so the first one
my
was
dad in the background right now. So
who
that
just
would be
turned
one, and then
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna
You
say,
want
your
to
dad
read
just
the one
turned.
that's there, Luke?
Yeah, and your dad just turned 89, so I think that's pretty cool. So people are actually being
my 89-year-old dad behind you all.
Yeah. So Mark is saying that it's Mark he recognizes he has imposter syndrome, and it's not the first time. And then Ashley says Dito, they have that. And Eric had mentioned that a while ago. And what I'm impressed with is how willing people are actually able to say, yes, I'm afflicted with this. So
awesome. Cool. So let me share a little bit about myself in terms of, when Luke came and asked me this. One of my core values is really authenticity. And the reason it is because I probably spent decades, not probably, I did, not feeling like myself. I literally, what I called pretzeled myself to fit other people, what other people wanted. And there was a lot of reasons for that, which I'm going to share in the moment, but I want to really hear kind of from you first, how that's happening for you. So I literally spent, I'm going to say, wasted decades of my life, which cost me a lot of connection with people. It actually cost me my health because I was always trying to please everybody else. And then I really lost myself in that process. And in the end, didn't feel very worthy and ended up not liking myself. So if you can relate to that, I would love if you type yes in the chat. And then the other thing is, I'd really like to know, what does that cost you? What does it cost you to be in imposter syndrome and not to be yourself? So just reflect on that for a moment.
So
And the second, go ahead,
go
Luke.
ahead. I thought you had, okay. And the second question is?
Yeah, the second question is, let's see if I can find it again. Actually, I'll have you read those to me first
Okay.
and then see if my question comes back.
So, so what I'm seeing in the comments on this, and if I don't pronounce your name, it's because I'm worried about getting it wrong. It's not having, Cindy says she's not having self-confidence. Lynn, sorry, I'm just reading this as we go along. So Steve talks about not feeling himself inadequate and meld into the situation of others instead of just being himself. Self-confidence is intermittent. Eric talks about that. I'm not stepping fully into my shoes. I'm a writer and a philosopher who, and this is Kenny, and who thinks everyone knows, everyone thinks he knows he's an imposter. And I want to get your angles on this topic.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being so vulnerable and sharing. So my other question for you is, this is what I have found to be true, is that we have these underlying beliefs and fears. So one of the fears for me was, if I actually show up as myself, people won't like me. And so that was one fear, is they won't like me. And it was an old primal fear, which is I'll actually be abandoned. Like I'll have no friends, I'll have no tribe, I'll have no community. And maybe we could have Luke, people, if they're not speaking, if they could mute their mic, because we're just hearing
muting
somebody
everyone
chat
now.
in the background.
I'm muting everyone right now.
Hopefully it doesn't mute me. All right.
Okay.
So I would love if you type in the chat, what's the fear? So if you actually showed up as your authentic, genuine self, I want you just to breathe kind of deeply into that. What's the fear? If I actually do that, what would happen? Or what's the fear? The fear of, I know somebody said not being able to be yourself. I heard not good enough, like inadequate. So you'll be inadequate. If you actually show up as yourself, it won't be good enough. So if you want to type those in the chat, and then I'm actually going to be picking someone as well. So I've got not good enough, I see in there, will explode, won't be able to hang out in your life. They quickly flip across the screen for me. Won't earn the money you need. Yes, fear of not having enough, fear of scarcity. Did I miss any of those, Luke, that you want to add in?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, awesome.
That he'll get rejected.
Reject me. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. In order to shift out of imposter syndrome, to stop feeling like we have to be fake, in order to step into our authenticity, the first step is what we just did. You have to actually be aware of, well, what's stopping you? You don't have to know all the details of where it came from, but you do need to be aware of that fear of rejection, or that fear of not being good enough, or the fear of being, another big one is, for I've noticed with a lot of my clients, is fear of being shamed or humiliated. What if we don't know the right answer, right? Or what if we say it wrong? So fear is usually what stops us. So what we want to be able to do, and what my intention here with all of you and working with Luke, is we're actually going to use belief or patterning, which is a 7-step proven system, which has helped me to be the confident woman I am today. Thank you for more shares there as well. And I'm going to walk you through that. And we are going to transform some of those fears. We can't obviously do everything here today. And we're going to move towards something better. Okay. And in a one-on-one session, I would be able to more work individually, but we're going to do it collectively here today. And one of you is actually going to get my absolute attention. And I'm hoping we'll be able to do this, Luke, that we can unmute one person's mic and have them join
Yep.
in here. So
Yep.
what
I
I'm
just
going
sent
to encourage
everyone.
you to, a couple things.
I just sent everyone the document just for you to know the.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
So another thing is you will all need water because in order to build a new neural pathway in the brain, you need hydration. So not coffee, not tea, not pop. You actually need water. So if you don't have water, you will need to grab some in a moment. The other thing you will probably want is a pen and paper. There is a document that you don't have to use that. I can give you an alternative way, but the guiding words are kind of on there. You can also refer to it later as well. And then the third thing you're going to need is you're going to need to breathe through your nose. And I'm going to invite you just to do that right now because that actually helps to calm our nervous system right away and help us get out of that fight, flight, freeze. So just breathing in through your nose, you're going to exhale out the mouth. And I'm going to be asking you to do that throughout the call here today. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I think one of the, unfortunately, because I am adapting to my phone here, I can't see all of you. I do believe Serinda's on the call. So I'm hoping to call on Serinda at the end, who has also worked with me if she feels free to call to share kind of how Belief for Patterning has helped her working with me to be more of her genuine, authentic self. So just to plant that seed for you, Serinda. So what I would like you to do right now is grab either the piece of paper, the PDF that Luke just sent you, and don't worry if you don't need to go print it now or anything. If you have it, great. If you don't, you need a blank piece of paper and a pen or pencil. So maybe just type yes in the chat or a little thumbs up when you've all got that, and I'm going to give you the next step. So Leandra was asking, where is the document? So
I'm going to put it in there again and just. I just sent it in there again.
So you will need pen and paper. And as soon as everybody's got that, so I'm going to tell a little bit about Belief for Patterning while people are doing that. So Belief for Patterning is a 7-step system that was founded by Suze Casey. She's from Calgary, Alberta. So those of you who are Canadian on the line, she's locally grown here in Alberta. And I am very fortunate and blessed to be personally trained and mentored by her, and she is my personal coach. So Suze, basically 30 years ago, 3 decades ago, when she had a serious health challenge herself, I won't go into her whole story right now, but basically she developed Belief for Patterning, and her background is in learning education. So she designed it in a way that meets the way that we actually naturally learn, which is using repetition and making it fun. So is everybody okay that we have fun on the call here today, even though it's a really maybe perhaps serious subject for some of us here? So I'm going to grab one of my props as well, just for fun. All right, so some of you saw on there that I had my little mask, and I just want to let you know that you are going to definitely be able to take off some of those masks. And when you put a mask on, it's going to be more of showing up in your actually authentic self. So I would say, Luke, if people don't find the document right now, just to drop that. They don't need it right now.
Okay.
They can use it later. It'll be a great reference for later. I really just want all of you here with me so we can keep to the time and I can really support you. So I'm actually going to have, maybe you could pick someone for me, Luke, and somebody who's willing to be volunteered, who has struggled with imposter syndrome, and they've been typing in the chat some of the answers that we want. And they could also just raise their hand right now. It's like, pick me, pick me. If you're willing to be super vulnerable right now, I'm going to, this one person, you basically get a private one-on-one coaching session with me, and you're also demoing it. So it is, it's drawn out a little bit one-on-one. We would do a lot more. But I'm going to have that person actually walk it through with all of us here, and everybody else is going to do it in the background. So everybody's going to be gifted with repatterning, but one of you in particular will have some laser coaching with me right now. So I'm going to let you pick that person.
Okay,
me,
so yeah, anyone, so who would like to, if I can just see the hands? Okay, I'm seeing Paula would like to do it. So I'm going to unmute Paula. And Paula, you have to unmute yourself. And thank you. very much. Okay, Paul is unmuted, and you know, and the thing is, I just want to say is that Virio is actually gifting you like a couple $100 right now on that.
That's
So
awesome. I'm so appreciative.
yeah. So, and Paul, you're
right.
calling in from Ottawa, right?
Yes. Well, I'm actually south of Ottawa, but the meetup group is Ottawa.
Okay, so fantastic. So I leave it now for Virio to do her magic.
Okay, thanks, Luke. I was trying to see if I could just get Paula on the screen with me here too, but I don't think I can figure that out. So I'm going to just go ahead.
I'm going to give
So-
actually Paula, make her a co-host, so she should have a bit more, hopefully.
Then it
on
might
there
pull her up at the front of the screen here, which would
Yeah.
be great. Let's see
when
if
she
that
talks.
happens. maybe
Okay,
not.
here, I'll talk now so you can see my face.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's still not coming for me, but maybe for everybody else. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm just going to have everybody on your piece of paper, and let me know if you can see this. I want you to draw a line down the middle. And on the left-hand side, I want you to put a down arrow, and the right-hand side an up arrow. So this is our very complicated belief repatterning system right here. This is it. And what I'm going to do with all of you, and in particular with Paula, she's going to get some laser coaching, is we are going to support Paula. I'm going to support you and everyone in shifting some of those fears. So what I'm going to have you do is on the left-hand side, I want you to write fear, and whatever that fear was for you, and maybe there's more than one. So you could put not good enough, might be one. And I'm going to have you write down yours in particular, Paula, and I'm going to call on you in a moment. So you're going to write not good enough. Maybe there's that fear of rejection. If anybody can shout out some of the other ones to me.
No, they can't. They're muted. So if you put in the chat box,
Okay.
I'll read them to you.
Fear of being inadequate, we had. Fear of not enough money, we had was another one. So not enough money. Okay, and
A fear
yeah,
of not.
I think that's probably
Oh, I'll be that.
for being disrespected. I saw respect. Okay, that's probably good enough. And what about you, Paula? Do you have any that I have not listed there, or can you tell me what's the biggest one that's coming up for you? If I show up as my real self, I'm afraid this.
I'm a fraud. That I'm a fraud.
Okay, so is it, and that others will judge you as a fraud? So fear of judgment?
Yes. Judgment, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put that at the top, judgment here. That's a pretty common one for all of us, and I've definitely struggled with that. Okay, so then what I'm going to ask Paula and everyone to do is take those, cross them out, and point them to the other side. That's going to support your brain right now. I'm not going to go into all of that. I'm just going to give a couple things about that. So you want to cross them out and point them to the other side. So, and actually, Serinda, are you, Serinda, if you want to just say yes in the chat if you're there, I'm going to actually have you help me in a second here.
I do see Serinda here with us, and I'm going to unmute her right now. So.
Okay. So Serinda, I actually want you to look up a word in the pocket full for me in a moment when I muscle test with welcome. Serinda has been amazing, one of my clients and in my Sacred Pleasure Path program. So Serinda, do you have your pocket full available?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We will keep you here with us. So what I want to tell you is when you are, how the brain works is when we are on what I'm going to call a draining side. These are not bad. Fear is good. Fear can keep us alive. And what happens is when we're in that fear, all we have access to is what I call the 4 F's. Okay, the 4 F's, which is fight, flight, freeze, or F you. That's all we have access to. So I want you to be really kind to yourself and really compassionate when you're in fear, because you can't actually access anything better on this side. You can't access your reason, your choices, your willpower, your courage, your love, your peace, your confidence. They're over here. You don't have access when you're here. So what belief repatterning does, this 7 steps, is I'm going to support Paula and all of you in getting over here, because that's where your authentic self lies. That's where your confidence lies. That's where your peace lies. Okay. We set it up as a linear system, but it's not always linear. Okay. It's just an easy way of showing it. So what I'm going to ask is, Paula, what would you, and you can all think about this right now, and I'm going to have you all type yours in the chat. What would you rather feel than that fear of rejection of being an imposter and a fake? What would you rather feel?
Confident, energized.
Okay,
I like accepted.
accepted. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, that's what your mind thinks, which is great. And if everybody can type that in the chat. And what I'm going to have, actually, now that I put down my whiteboard, I can do it, Serinda, but Serinda can also see if she comes up with something else for me. So Serinda, you can muscle test for yourself and type yours in the chat. So Paula, do I have your permission to muscle test on your behalf?
Yes.
You might want to
Okay.
explain what that means, Virio.
If it's like
So
kinesiology,
muscle
I
testing is
know.
a way, yeah, it's kinesiology. So basically I'm asking Paula's body what she would like. So if we could have solved this with her mind, she would have done it, eons ago. So what belief repatterning does is it's a way of bringing the body, the mind, and the soul, or that warm fuzzy part, into alignment. Because when we have the body going in one direction, stressed or fearful, and we got the mind going in another direction, that's when we can't be ourselves. End up fake because we don't have access to something better, right? So we're going to bring belief repatterning is going to support Paula in bringing that into harmony. So I'm going to use my pocket full of possibilities, which is what I use with my clients, and some other tools. And I'm just going to muscle test which word would support. And the rest of you can type in the chat. And you can also pick the word that I come up with for Paula as well. Okay, so see if you can find it kind of through your body rather than just your mind. So you might ask your mind first what that word is, type it in the chat, and then just check in, breathe, use your breath to drop into a deeper place and see if you can find another word on what would my body rather feel right now than stressed and fear of rejection and not good enough and all that ick. Okay, so I'm just going to check in here. So
Peace is what's coming to mind.
nice. Okay, and that did feel like it was coming from a deeper place. Okay, so the word that I'm getting for you is actually survivor. And survivor comes from the French word, which means to super live. I really like actually that definition of it. So it's survivor that's on the upside, not on the draining side where we're just surviving, but it's actually like super living, moving towards thriving. So I think we're going to go with peace and survivor in terms of super living. How does that feel for you, Paula?
Sounds cool.
Okay, awesome. What I'm going to invite everyone else to do is when I ask Paula to repeat these statements, the 7 steps that I'm going to walk her through, if you want to get the full benefits of this session, I'm going to invite you to say the statements out loud as well. And you're going to use your words. Okay. So we might need to mute everyone except Paula and me right now because we just have a little bit of background noise.
Yeah, everyone is muted.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Luke. So I'm going to invite you to say the statement out loud, and then you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through the mouth. And then Paula, if you have any kind of mind chatter or yeah, but or resistance comes up, that's where I need you to actually share it with me. Unfortunately, the rest of you on the call, I can't give all 20 plus of you my individual attention. That would happen in a private coaching session. But I also know that what Paula is going to do is actually going to serve all of you here. That's my intention that I'm setting, that what I repattern with her will actually serve all of you in being more of your authentic self and finding that inner peace and confidence. So the first part of the statement that we're going to start with is forgiveness. So if you're wanting to keep track of that, you could write down the word forgiveness. And we're still on that draining side. So that step is we're actually starting on the left-hand side. So Paul, I'm going to have you say, I forgive myself for believing that being fake, or whatever word you use, needs to define who I am.
Say that one more time.
I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing that I
when I'm fake, that
feel
define
I'm
me.
fake, and that doesn't define me,
That it needs to define me.
that it needs to define me.
Breathe that in through your nose, out through your mouth. Now, some of you are writing. You're actually going to get more from this if you actually just do the practice with me. And what I will gift all of you at the end is I will write this up. And if you email me, I will send it out with the actual steps. And I may add a little bit more in there to support you. Okay. So Luke will put my email in there, and I will gift that to you all at the end, and promise to give you that. Okay. And I'll add a little bit extra to support you in moving through the steps. So another one we would say is, I forgive myself for believing that it has to be hard to be my confident, peaceful self.
I forgive myself for believing that it has to be hard in order to be my confident, peaceful self.
Okay, breathe that in through the nose, out through the mouth. And everybody else, you can use whatever you're moving towards. If you're not sure, then go with confident and peaceful right now. Okay. Kenny might need to jump off and go come back on.
Yeah, okay, I'm thinking that, yeah. I'll tell them that in the chat.
So,
go ahead.
So how is that landing? And so everybody else, just plug in your words. And like I said, if you want to just go with peaceful and confident, that's always good for all of us to build our sense of peace and confidence. So you're going to win from that as well. How is that landing with you, Paula? How's that feeling?
The tension that I usually hold in my triceps is loosening.
Beautiful. So let's do a gratitude. I felt that in my whole body. So I'm so grateful to my body for communicating this loosening that I'm feeling right now.
I'm so grateful for my body for this loosening that I'm feeling right now.
Awesome. So I'm just going to add one of the key things to transforming out of imposter into authenticity is to touch and connect in with our bodies. And that's one of the gifts that I bring you. One of my skills is I feel whatever Paula's feeling and the rest of you. So the more we can get in touch with our body, the breath is going to help you get in touch with your body. Okay. So I'm getting that we're okay to move on to the next step. I just threw gratitude in. Gratitude will always support us in moving to a more positive place, to moving to a more uplifting emotion, which is on that right side where that up arrow is. So I'm going to just pause for one more moment and just make sure that all of you, including Paula, on the right-hand side here, I want you to write what you're moving towards. So Paula had peace and confidence, or confident, and we had survivor, which was super live. So survivor, which was super living. Okay, so please make sure you have whatever you want to be feeling more on the other side, have it here. And if you want to go with peaceful and confident, and if you have different words, you could plug your own words in. When I have Paula say peaceful and confident, you can say whatever you would like to say. And I would actually love if you typed those in the chat. So please type in the chat, what are you moving towards? Is it peaceful and confident, the same as Paula, or is it something else? So if you could type that in the chat, and that can also support me when I send it. I see welcome and delighted. Awesome, Eric. Confident, focused, yes, respected, cool. Because what I'll do is when I send the PDF out, I'm going to incorporate those in as well, because there's a collective repatterning that we are doing as a group here right now. Assurance, acceptance, awesome of your abilities, that you're all going to be served not only by what I'm repatterning with Paula, but there's a collective consciousness that we're tapping into right now. Authentic, powerhouse, confident, true self, beautiful. So I'm not going to write those here right now because I'm going to stick with Paula's, and I will include those on the PDF that I send you all later. So let's make sure we all have a drink of water. Again, we want to hydrate the brain. And Luke, maybe you can give me when we're at like a 10-minute till the end or 15, because I do not have access to time right now exactly in front of me.
We are 37 minutes into it, and so we're just coming up to halfway through.
Awesome. Okay, so we've already worked through forgiveness and we added some gratitude, and now I'm going to move towards the next step, which is permission. So you might want to write down permission, and again, I will send this to you as well. So Paula, I'm going to have you say, I give myself permission. I'm going to give you the whole statement first, and then I'll break it up, and everybody else can repeat it as well. I give myself permission to move away from that fear of rejection and move towards being peaceful and confident with myself. So I'll break it up for you. So I give myself permission to move away from that fear of rejection.
I give myself permission to move away from that fear of rejection.
And to move towards being my peaceful and confident self.
And to move towards being my peaceful and confident self.
And breathe that in through the nose, out through the mouth. How does that feel?
There's some tingling going on in my feet and hands.
Beautiful. Yeah, I felt it all the way over here. Beautiful. Breathe that in. I want you to actually send that. One of the gifts I bring is my Kundalini dance training and movement practices. So I want everybody, as you breathe in, I want you to send the energy down, out your back, and tap your heels on the ground. And that's going to actually ground in that sense of confidence and peace that Paul is talking about. So Paul, I'm going to have you do that. Tap your heels on the ground. And making the sound. You can maybe just give your body a little shake as well. That starts to make a little more space for what we're moving toward. And you can move the energy. If any of you are healers on the line, I can feel a lot of the energy, and I'm intending that this will serve all of you on the call here today. So awesome. How's that feeling now, Paula?
A lot looser, like more.
Beautiful. Okay, so the next step that we're going to move towards right now is choice. So what I'm going to have you do is hold out your right hand. So I think it's opposite of the screen, but I'm not 100% sure. So all of you can hold out your right hand, and I'm going to go through all of it, Paula, and then I'll break it up for you. So in the right hand, I can choose to stay stuck in that fear of rejection or all that ick. I can stay stuck in that belief that it's hard to be my authentic self, and deny who I really am. Been there, don't really like that. Okay. Or I can choose to move towards my confident, peaceful self. And then we're going to tap here. I can't do both. And what that does is it breaks up the meridians and the neural pathways in the brain. So I'm going to have you start with that, Paula, and anybody else who's listening. And Eric is already right on it. I can see Eric on my screen. So thanks, Eric. So Paula, in the right hand, I'm going to have you, and let's see if I can see you here. Let's see if I can find Paula. So I'm going to have you say with your right hand out, I can stay stuck in that fear of rejection and all that ick and denial.
I can stay stuck in that fear of rejection and ick and denial.
I don't really like it.
I don't really like it.
And if you want to bring your hands up a little higher just so I can see them, Paula. Or I can move towards being my confident, peaceful self.
Or I can move towards being my confident, peaceful self.
And I'm going to invite you, all of you, I should be seeing hands on the screen here, doing it as well. This is how you're going to get the most from this, is actually doing it and saying it along with Paula. You won't get it from just sitting and listening, okay? I can't do both.
I can't do both.
Which one would you like to choose, Paula? And everyone else, what are you going to choose?
Well, obviously the peace and confidence.
Yay, and I see Ashley, her left hand already went up. So your body chooses it. Beautiful. Thank you for those who are really participating. And I see a few more hands going up as well. Excellent. Awesome. So let's do that as a choice statement. So this is the next step in believer pattern is I choose to be more confident and peaceful.
I choose to be more confident and peaceful.
with my authentic self.
with my authentic self.
Breathe that in through the nose and out through the mouth. And how is that feeling, Paula?
I'm very heavy in my chair.
Is that a good heavy, like you're kind of like in your body now more?
Yeah, like it's, well, my chair is supporting me like very well.
Okay, so it's kind of like landed and you're dropping more into your body. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Breathe that in. And if everybody can let me know in the chat, in case I also have extra time at the end, I'm happy to stay on for a little longer. Can you just like maybe just show a thumbs up on the screen with Luke if you let me know that you're all good, you're here with us at choice, and or you can just type, yeah, it's good, I'm good. If anybody's got some mind chatter going on, if you type it in the chat, if I have extra time at the end, I can see if I can support you. All right, this is one where you all are going to have an opportunity to participate as well in the chat. So the next step is called freedom. And freedom is when you try it on. Yeah, freedom is when you try it on, you practice it, because this is not going to happen instantly. You're going to notice a shift like you have right away. And to have it be permanent, you actually need to practice it. So right now we're going to do a practice, and then I'm also, remind me at the end, Paula, to make sure that I check with you how long your body wants you to practice it so that it does become a permanent neural pathway in your brain, which is really cool. So what's something you're going to do? This is for everybody. What's something you're going to do anyway today? And I don't want you to pick the highest mountain to climb. I want you to pick something easy, doable, doesn't cost a lot of money, and doesn't involve anybody else. And you're going to do it anyway, but when you do it, you can do it with a sense of confidence, or whatever your word as, and peace. And I see Eric already has. So Eric's could be, I am free to feel confident and peaceful when I play my drums. And then you're going to say exactly when you're going to do it, after the call, or at 3 o'clock today, or at 4 o'clock. It's all different time zones. So what's something you're going to do anyway, Paula, but when you do it, you can feel confident and peaceful?
Prepare my presentation for Tuesday.
Okay, and is that something that feels really easy, or are you picking a big thing that you have to do, but you're not feeling as confident? Do you already feel confident that's easy?
No, that's not easy.
Okay,
because
so
that's
don't
where
pick
the
that.
fraud.
That's too big.
No, okay.
Yeah, no. So you do not pick the area that you feel fraudulent in, because here's the thing. The mind does not know the difference between a little step and a big step. It's still going to build the neural pathway in the brain. So you're actually better to do 5 or 10 easy little steps where you're confident and peaceful. And that builds the file folder in your brain for confident and peaceful. And then when you go to do that, preparing for Tuesday, you'll already have a file folder where, yeah, I totally know what confident and peaceful feels like. I experienced it when. Okay, so you're actually, what we're doing is building the foundation right now of confidence and peaceful being your authentic self. And you want to do that in ways that you already, like Eric, he knows how to play the drums, obviously. That's easy for him. Okay, so do not pick something that's hard. So for example, me, I'm going to go for a walk later by the
That's
lake
what
here.
I was
So I am
thinking.
free. Beautiful. So where are you? And the more specific you can be, the better. So the time, the place, how long you want, because that's like a specific file folder that's easy to find. It's like you're color coding, you know exactly where to find that file folder. So where are you going to go for your walk, and for how long? And yeah.
The
let us
walk
know
is
that.
30 minutes.
Okay.
The
And when are you going?
place
Okay.
after dinner.
And where?
Turtle Trail.
Okay. And so, for example, Eric might add exactly what time he's going to do it and what he will play on the drums. Okay. So you can be as specific as possible. You want to be specific on what you're moving towards and general on the negative, fearful stuff. More general there, specific so you can build a new neural pathway on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to give it to you as a freedom statement. So everybody else, I'm going to invite you to say your freedom statement at the same time as Paula and type it in the chat. So I am free to So Paula's is going to be, I am free to feel peaceful and confident as myself when I go for my 30-minute walk at Turtle Creek after dinner today.
You might have to break that down for me. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for asking for what you need. So I am free to increase feeling peaceful and confident
I am free to increase feeling peaceful and confident
when I gift myself. Let's add that word in. That's always fun. When I gift myself my 30-minute walk after dinner at Turtle, I think you said Creek.
when I gift myself that 30-minute walk after dinner on Turtle Trail.
Turtle Trail. Beautiful. Breathe that in. Awesome. And I see some going in the chat there. Excellent. Now, after you say it out loud, please breathe in through your nose and out through the mouth. Awesome. And I'm going to include some of these in the PDF that I send you as well when you email me, because I think that'll support everybody collectively. So awesome. Thanks, Luke, for the cheering everybody on. So everybody raise your right arm. Bend it at the elbow, especially if you did your freedom statement in the chat, and give yourself a pat on the back. That's positive reinforcing. I do that throughout my day. And the more you can actually do that, the more that's actually going to build that file folder. Like, look at me, how confident I was. Look at me, how I adjusted to coming from my cabin that had no internet up here and adjusting to offering my authentic stuff to all of you from my mom's and dad's office up here. Give myself a pat on the back for that. Okay. So the more you can, when you notice you're being confident, when you notice you're being peaceful or whatever you're moving towards, give yourself that pat on the back. We tend to criticize ourselves on the downside, right? When we're, so how many of you have lost something like your keys? Just type in the chat if you can relate to that. We're just going to pause and let some of this integrate into Paula and everyone's body. So how many of you have lost your keys or something? Paula, have you lost something important to you, like your keys or glasses or purse?
There was a time where I'd put my phone down and 2 minutes later, I forget where I left it.
Right. And how did your brain, Leandra? Thanks, Leandra. And what did your self-talk sound like when you couldn't find your phone, your keys, or your purse or your brain? What was the inner dialogue like? Anybody who wants to be brave, I'm going to invite you to throw that in the chat. What was your dialogue like?
More like, stupid, what are you doing? Like, how could you forget something like, so that's only a couple minutes ago?
Yeah. And would you talk to your best friend that way? Would you tell, if she lost something, would you tell her or him, your partner, would you say, you're so stupid, why did you do that?
No, it'd be like a talk it through, and it's like, okay, where were you last and what were you doing, and kind of walk through.
Yeah,
and then
exactly. So what I found with the hundreds of women that I've worked with over the last decade, and in particular the last almost 3 years now with belief repatterning, 2.5 years, is that we all have this negative chatter that's going on in our brain, and it's not kind. What belief repatterning does is we help to train that part of your brain to actually be your cheerleader and go, yeah, way to go, good job. So I love that. And maybe Sarinda, I'm going to put you on the spot. I just feel like everybody needs a moment to integrate that. Sarinda, can you share, just maybe in a sentence or two, if you're able to speak? If not, you could type it in the chat. What has been one of the benefits of working with me with belief patterning? And what have you noticed with your own shift, with your own self-confidence and beliefs? And if not, I can come back to you. Oh, there you are.
I've just noticed that, like there's been a lot of shifts that have happened in my life. I find that a lot of like the mental blocks that hold me back it's not that they're not there anymore, but it's that I'm just able to like better process through them. And yeah, it's like I like now have like, well, it's your inner coach, but I call it my inner friend. So instead of like being so hard on myself all the time, I have like my inner friend that's like, you can do it, you can do the thing, like it's okay, just try again, kind of thing. So yeah, I feel a lot lighter and a lot happier, and yeah, I've moved forward in my life a lot since coaching with you. So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Serinda. And if anybody else, feel free to ask Serinda any more questions if you want. Yeah, so life will still happen, like Serinda said. And what's different with belief or patterning is now you don't have to stay stuck in that fear side. You can actually move more quickly um, to a more uplifting. And also, when things are going really well in your life, this is where we can actually strengthen those file folders and actually amplify what's going really well. So one of the things I love is when I work with my clients, when things are actually going really well, we can amplify that and strengthen that file folder. So that's actually super fun. It doesn't have, you don't have to come when you're in crisis. It's actually even more fun when we can work when things are rocking and make it rock even more. So, okay, so we are going to move to the next step in belief or patterning. Um, so let's see, Paula, do you remember what was the first step? I'm just going to review these so you can all, hey,
Forgiveness.
I've got this, Karen. Awesome. Forgiveness. Yeah.
Then we
Anybody
did
else want to
some
type in the chat?
gratitude.
What's the second? We did some gratitude. Yeah. And then what's the next step?
And permission,
Permission. Awesome. And then what was the next step?
choice,
Choice. Awesome. And then the one we just did.
freedom.
Freedom. Awesome. Okay. So our next step is affirmation. Now, how many of you know Louise Hay? Actually, I've got the book right here, Heal Your Body, Heal Your Mind. And there's tons of causes of disease, and then there's an affirmation. How many of you have repeated affirmations ad nauseum, thousands of them, and you didn't see any results? It's a great book. What belief or patterning has done is it's actually helped me to go from the cause to the affirmation, because Louise Hay actually met Suze Casey, my coach, teacher, and mentor, and found that Louise Hay said she didn't have a way to support people in bridging from the cause to the affirmation. Because if I'm, my mom's been dealing with cancer. So if she says the affirmation, which is I'm healthy and my colon's fine and I'm living in peace and love, what do you think her mind is going to say, or her body as well?
You're full of it.
Yeah, right? So then we reinforce the negative. So this is different how Suze uses affirmation. We're actually affirming and remembering a time where you did feel confident and peaceful, or whatever you're moving towards. So I want everybody to type this in the chat when you've got it. So I know what confident and peaceful, or replace with your words. So I want you to think of a time, Paula, where you did actually feel really confident and peaceful as yourself, because we're moving towards that authentic self. So tell me a time where you did feel confident and peaceful.
That's one of my issues is
right now on the call, that you trusted your body. So I want you to give me a time where you did feel confident and peaceful first. And if there's a yeah, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So it could even be on the call when you told me that you were feeling all tingly or something, or your body
we'll go with
relaxed
that,
into the
because
chair.
I've stuffed my feelings down for so long, I don't know.
Okay, so here's an example where it's linear, it's not linear. We're actually going to jump back to forgiveness for a moment. So if anybody else has some mind chatter, like, I don't know how I'm feeling right now, go ahead and say this. And you could say it also just to support Paula and collectively anybody out there who's relating to that. So I forgive myself for believing I need to focus on what I'm not feeling right now.
I need to forgive myself for...
I forgive myself. Just I forgive myself.
I forgive myself for...
believing I need to be hard on myself, that I'm not feeling a lot right now.
Believing that I need to be hard on myself because I'm not feeling a lot right now.
Now breathe that in and send it down through your body and out your heels. My sense is your body actually is feeling something, but your mind is kind of having that disconnect for a moment.
Very logical.
So I give so this is for everybody to jump in as well. I give my body and soul permission to support my mind right now.
I give my body and soul permission. I missed that.
To support my mind right now.
To support my mind right now.
Awesome. Breathe that in. So what happens is when we're actually doing really deep soul level repatterning, which is what I'm feeling is happening with you, Paula, and perhaps other people on the call, that fear of rejection could have been something you've carried for a long time. Your mom might have even felt that when she was pregnant with you and you were in utero. The beliefs that we carry in us are from when we were in utero to 7 years old. And perhaps for those of us that believe that, they're from generational, they're ancestral. So my sense with you, Paula, and probably others on the call, and type yes if this resonates with you in the chat, is it's probably more, it's ancestral. It's not even just your belief. It's a belief that you've carried for this from since you were a little girl and perhaps even longer. So what happens is when it's really deep soul level, your mind will actually start to shut down and won't even hear what I say. And that's actually an indicator that we're actually doing some really deep soul level work, because that fear of rejection can stop us from being our authentic selves, and it will keep stopping because your mind is like, okay, Paula, you can't do that because you might die. You might not be safe. Your mind's actually just trying to keep you safe. And safe means we're going to do exactly what we did yesterday. We're not going to change because we're still alive. So every time you are like the butterfly, the caterpillar that's going to press against the cocoon and move into more of your authentic self, your mind is going to come up and go, no, don't, Paula, you might die. So the fears and the resistance are going to show up. And that's where myself working with you with believer patterns as a coach can support you in moving towards something better and shifting at that soul level. And when it's soul level, we actually need somebody to work with us because we don't see it, right? We're kind of in the blinders. So let me just check where your body's at now. And I'm going to invite you to have another drink of water, Paula. And everyone would be good. And how is your mind with that now and feeling in your body when I say all that?
I'm feeling a little numb, like almost like almost like it's zoned out.
Okay. I'm so grateful to my body for communicating this sense of numbness right now.
I'm so grateful to my body for this feeling of numbness right now.
And I'm grateful because it's providing me contrast between numbness and feeling.
I'm grateful because it's providing me contrast between numbness and feeling.
Awesome. Breathe that in. Okay, so if that is supporting anybody else I would like you to say, yes, me too, if you can relate to what Paul is going through, that there's this disconnect. So what happens is, yeah, when we're trying to step into more of ourselves, sometimes there's that disconnect between the body and mind. So believe, and I'm seeing some yeses in the chat. So you're not alone, Paula. Other people are feeling that too. Thank you so much. Can we all just give some kisses and loving to Paula for being so vulnerable here with me and just willing to show up? You are showing up as your authentic self right now, Paula. Awesome. Thanks, Paula. So Paula, let's just see here. This is probably true for a lot of you on the call. And if it isn't, you can say it collectively because it might be for somebody else. So I'm so grateful for that numbness. I'm going to give you the whole statement. I'm so grateful for that feeling of numbness because it actually kept me alive when I was younger.
I'm so grateful for that feeling of numbness because it kept me alive when I was younger.
Breathe that in. And it doesn't serve me anymore.
And it doesn't serve me anymore.
Breathe that in. Okay, how's that feeling now?
I'm starting to get the tingling back.
There you go. And I'm hearing Eric say that was a tearjerker. I'm hearing thanks for you being brave. Okay, everybody, a breath in. Out. Paula especially. Beautiful. Good work, girl. This is really deep. This is really deep.
I will tell you, with all the recognition, it felt very uncomfortable. So being recognized and appreciated is an uncomfortable feeling for me.
Okay, breathe that in. So anybody else have a hard time, just type yes in the chat that it's hard for you to be recognized for your vulnerability or recognized for some gifts that you bring, that it's just like uncomfortable. Yes, other people are saying yes. So I forgive myself. So notice we're popping back to forgiveness. It's not linear. It's a real and intuitive conversation between Paula and I. So I forgive myself for believing that it has to be hard to be my vulnerable, confident, peaceful self.
I forgive myself for believing it has to be hard to be my confident, peaceful, authentic self.
And let's add vulnerable in there. Beautiful. How many of you are being served right now by Paula being so vulnerable and just really being authentic with all of us? I'm getting yeses, yes, yes, yes. Okay. This is the gift we bring in the world when we can transform out of imposter and show up as our authentic selves, even when it's uncomfortable. I actually invite you, you might, I love this as one of my statements, is actually get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So let's try that on, Paula. I'm willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I'm willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, because every time you step into more of authentic Paula and everybody else on the call, there's going to be this, oh my gosh, the body's going to go a little bit of, it is there. And it's also excitement. There's like, oh, that's exciting, right? So that uncomfortable is an indicator that you're actually growing and expanding. Okay.
And it's interesting how that comes together because I just heard yesterday what I want is on the other side of uncomfortable.
Yeah. Awesome.
Muriel,
I'm going to ask, yes.
we are at 2:03, so 27 minutes left
Beautiful.
in this, and my commitment to everyone is that we are going to be done at 90 minutes, half past the hour.
Perfect. We'll be done before then and we'll have time for some questions and answers.
It's fantastic.
All right. So I'm going to invite Serinda to muscle test for the collective here and for Paula and see if there's a word that's supportive as she's moving away from uncomfortable and moving to something else. So I'm going to have her type that in the chat, and then Luke or Serinda can let me know when it's appropriate in the space in between here. So affirmation. Some of you already typed it in the chat. We're going to say it in a moment here. So Paula, tell me about a time where you did feel, you said actually on the call here, is there a particular moment on the call where you felt confident and peaceful? Was it when you fell into the chair and felt heavy? Was it at the permission?
No, it was the first tingly, like where I could feel the vibration in my fingers and my toes.
Okay. I think that was just after our forgiveness statements. Is that correct? Does that sound right? Okay, so I know what confident and peaceful as myself feel like. It happened right after the forgiveness statements today when I felt that tingly energy.
Walk me through that one.
Yeah, so I know what being my peaceful, confident self feel like.
I know what my peaceful, confident self feels like because I felt it after the first forgiveness when the tingling in my hands and toes came about.
Awesome. Breathe that in. So everybody else, you are going to want to say your statement. And if you haven't typed it in the chat, please do. So I know whatever it is you're moving towards, confidence and peaceful, feels like it happened when. Specific, not when I share or do this. It needs to be a specific time. I'm gonna actually have one more person share. Who else has a an affirmation statement, a time? Maybe you could read a couple of them from the chat for me, Luke.
Yep.
People that,
Just waiting for people to answer now.
okay, and I saw some that were in there earlier as well. So Eric, can you start? Can you do one for me? A time where you did feel whatever you're moving towards. I know what peaceful and confident, whatever they are, it happened when.
I have to unmute him here, so let me just find him. There. Okay.
He did unmute himself.
Okay.
So this is in the call, right? They are in our session today. So I'm a little just.
Actually, it can be anytime. It can be any time in your life, Eric, where you felt confident and peaceful, or whatever the words are that you're moving towards.
I felt
welcome in your life.
delighted. I felt welcome and delighted when we tapped our hands together and viewed things as a choice.
Beautiful. Bring that and breathe that in. Thanks for letting me just spontaneously volunteer you, Eric, to participate there.
Luke does it all the time to me.
That's what you get for
Voluntold.
being on my screen.
Yeah, he's always being
Thank you. Pat
voluntold.
on the back. All right. So everybody that has already typed their affirmation statement in the chat, raise your right arm, bend it at the elbow, give yourself a pat on the back. And I'm going to invite you all to just stand up and give yourself just a little shake of our bodies because we've been sitting a while. And a drink of water. And Paula, how's all that landing in your body? How are you feeling now?
I'm starting to feel the heaviness again. It's like this chair supporting me or the grounding.
Chair supporting. Awesome. And everybody can do a gratitude statement of something that you're grateful for right now. It can be absolutely anything. So I'm going to have, so gratitude, we can always sprinkle. It's just going to deepen everything. So I'm so grateful to my body for communicating this heavy chair supporting me feeling that I have right now.
I'm so grateful for my body for having me heavy chair support feeling.
And breathe that in. So again, the more we can be grateful and acknowledge moments where our body's confident, we're connecting with our body, that's going to help you be more of your authentic self. Okay, awesome. I see lots of beautiful gratitudes in there. So the next step in believer patterning is surrender. And surrender is actually when you own it. Now you want to make sure it's true. So for example, I wouldn't say I am a multi-billionaire or something because my mind would say liar, liar, pants on fire. But I could say I'm moving towards becoming a millionaire, or I'm moving towards becoming more confident and peaceful in my finances. Okay, so you want to make sure it's true. So I'm going to have you pick for you, Paula, which feels like true. Does it feel like true to say I am peaceful and confident as myself, or I am becoming a woman who is more confident and peaceful as herself?
I am becoming a woman more confident and peaceful with herself.
Breathe that in. Woohoo! Okay, so everybody else, I'm going to invite you to type in the chat. And I think we actually have time for 3 people who would like to celebrate, who made it and did all the statements. And you're at I am. Stay with me for a moment, Paula, because we're going to just check in with your body. So who else would like to celebrate their I am statement? And if I think anybody I haven't heard from who wants to be brave, raise your hand, and then Luke will unmute your mic and you can share your I am statement. I am becoming, or I am.
If I can see there, yeah. So, okay, I'm looking for someone to raise their hand.
You can physically raise your hand.
Okay,
Can see you.
Veronica would like to share. So Veronica, if you can unmute your, there you go.
So mine is, I am becoming a woman who is an authentic powerhouse, who is confident in my true self.
Raise that in. Woohoo! Let's blow a kiss to Veronica. Mwah. How does that feel, Veronica?
It feels warm. Yeah, feels warm.
Thank you.
Where were you at the beginning of the call? What were you moving away from?
Moving away from scarcity, rejection, judgment, failure, and fear of success.
Awesome. And how are you feeling now?
Feeling a lot closer to that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. For
A lot
being
closer
so
to the
vulnerable.
other side. Thanks.
Awesome. Beautiful. Okay. I'll have time for one more person who would like to share. Thank you, Veronica.
Looking for a hand up, looking for a hand up.
Cindy or Ashley, do you want to share? I saw theirs popping in. Cindy or Ashley, if you do, or if you're willing to, put your hand up. They had some that popped in there.
Okay. Still looking for someone else.
Okay, so hand up if you're willing to share your surrender statement of I am. You can have several, yeah, but you want to have probably one that's really solid. Jacqueline was asking about that. I would go with one that's really specific to what we were repatterning today and what you were moving away from and what you're moving towards. So you want to own what you were moving towards, whatever your 2 words. Maybe type it in the chat, Jacqueline, and I can give you some feedback. So type yours in, type your 1. It's better to do 1 solid and do it well, and then to work on other repatternings later, but to have 1 and get it solid rather than trying to repattern too much. Do we have our 1 person who's got their hand up?
Eric will.
Eric.
Go ahead, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
You're still
I
muted.
think Eric had
There we go.
unmuted him. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
No, he's good now.
What am I supposed to do?
So what is your I am statement? I am becoming a man who is, or I am a man. Do you feel your 2 words? You can say that it is true that you are that as your authentic self, or I am becoming.
I am moving into my life.
And what were your 2 words you were moving towards as your authentic self?
I am moving into being welcomed and delighted in my life.
Beautiful. And let's add in there. So you're a man. So I'm a man who is becoming welcome and delighted as my real or authentic self, whichever word feels more resonant to you.
I can't remember that many words.
I am a man who is
I am a man who is. Sorry, what?
Becoming welcome, who is becoming welcome and delighted as my real self.
Who is becoming welcome and delighted as my real self.
Great. Yay! How does that feel?
That's good. Life is good.
Excellent. Thanks, Eric. Let's all blow a kiss to Eric. Mwah. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
And if I missed anybody else, mwah, thank you. So Paula,
Yes.
do I have I'm going to just muscle test. I had permission earlier. So would it be supportive for Paula to practice this? Yes.
Yes.
So I'm getting that it would be supportive for you to practice it for 10 days, 3 times a day. And so habits love habits. So this can work for everybody. It's not going to hurt if you practice it 3 times a day. Some of you, it might be different, but we're going to go with 3. So 3 times a day, 10 days, if you practice this. So what's a habit you have every morning, Paula, right now that you always do?
Wash my face.
Okay, so when you wash your face, what I want you to do is you're going to reflect earlier in the day or the night before, and you're going to say, where was I confident and peaceful as myself yesterday? Oh yeah, I was confident and peaceful when I went for my walk. When I went for my walk at Turtle Trail after dinner, I was so peaceful and confident as myself. I smiled at people. I was real. So you're going to remember a time earlier, and then you're going to give yourself a pat on the back and go, I was so peaceful and confident. Look at me being peaceful and confident as my real self. And then you're going to do it in the middle of the day, and then you're going to do it at bedtime with another habit. So habits love habits. And if you do that for 10 days, and I want you to check in with me, Paula, 10 days from now, I want you to tell me that's going to actually be locked in as a new neural pathway in your brain. And when you're going to have a moment where you might have fear come up, your mind is actually going to automatically, that inner friend that Serinda talked about is actually going to say, well, we don't have to be fearing rejection right now. We can just increase being confident and what was our words? Confident and peaceful as ourselves. And yeah, and super living. And so your mind and body will start working together to automatically take you there because it likes the tingly feeling. It likes the peaceful feeling. It likes the heavy in the chair supporting you feeling. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I look forward to you connecting with me and letting me know how that goes. Can everybody just let me know in the chat, how was that for you? How were you feeling at the beginning? How are you feeling now? So if you were, 2 out of 10 with kind of fear, where are you at now? If you can just give us a little pulse in the chat. And is everybody feeling more on that upside? If you can let me know in the chat, that would be fantastic. And any gifts, wins, or insights that you're gathering. And I promised a couple of, so one of my gifts I'm going to give to you is I will send you a PDF with the steps that we did here today and a little bit extra in there. Luke,
And I'm going to,
did you wanna...
yeah. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put in the chat how to actually get on Vireo's email list. And so let me just pull it up, and because I have it ready, make sure I have the right one.
And I would love if people let me know that you were on this call, that you can just put, you know, Luke's call or the imposter syndrome or something, then that can just help remind me what I'm supposed to.
What I'm going to send
well.
you to, the link I'm sending you to is the landing page where it gives your information, and then in where do we meet, that's where you're going to want to indicate let's say imposter syndrome, so Vireo will know who it is, or where she came from, where you came from on that. So I'm putting that in the chat now.
And I do have a gift for everybody because it's COVID-19. Normally, if Paula had booked that session one-on-one, and we would have, of course, repatterned a lot more in an hour and a half or an hour together, because I wouldn't have been repeating as much. Paula and I would have had more, we probably repatterned several things during that time. I'm just going to check in here with myself. What would be? So normally, if she would have just booked a one-off session, which most people book a package, but if she had booked one-off, that would have been $197. And if any of you would like a one-on-one and you want to give it a taste to see if it serves you or not one-on-one working with me, I will give you 50% off of that. So let's call it 97 for today. And if you decide to do a package with me, I'll actually credit it towards a 5 coaching session package with me as well. So
that is an outstanding offer that Vireo is making. She's going to serve you well, and I highly recommend you take her up on that. It's yeah, it's a really good deal.
So I look forward to working with some of you in the near future. And we have like 11 minutes. I'm open to questions, or if anybody, I'm happy, maybe questions first. And then at the end, I'm happy to stick around for another 15 minutes. If there's any people that didn't feel really solid in where they repatterned to, I'm happy to gift a little bit of extra time to some people here today, because I'm being called to do that. So
yeah, and I will keep the Zoom room open for as long as we have questions on that, 15-20 minutes on that so somebody actually, Karen actually says that she worked with Suze several years ago on a weekend workshop. Vireo.
Awesome. Yes, I recognize your name there, Karen. So yeah, and if some of you are interested in knowing about Suze and her work, I can also send you a link for that. I'll send a link in that when I send you the PDF for this, because there's some amazing opportunities that are happening online with Sue as well. And I can send you those when I send the PDF to you. So
yeah.
So
Jacqueline,
sorry,
Jacqueline's asking where it's going to get mailed to. I'm going to put Vireo's email address in there, and you can, if you send a request, she'll send it out to you. And how's that sound, Vireo? Does that work?
Yeah, and anybody who goes to the landing page, everybody who goes to the landing page will automatically, I will send you the PDF from today.
Okay, so go, if you'd like the PDF. Yeah, if you'd like the PDF, go to the landing page. And if you want the recording of this, I'm going to put in my email address right now. And because I'm recording it, Vireo's not. So you're going to have to send me an email. And I'm not going to add your name to my list. It's just easier if I get you guys to give me your email. If you send me an email, and then I can respond.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. I'm so grateful this was awesome. Can we all just blow a big kiss to Paula right now, to being so vulnerable and sharing? So thanks, Paula. Paula, before we have the questions, any gratitudes or awarenesses that you want to share?
I'm just appreciative of everybody who is here and supported me in my space while I went through this process, and just for you to draw things out that I would not have drawn out of me or noticed on my own, because I'm so much up in my head.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's one of the things with when we're not being ourselves is it's pretty common to be stuck in the mind, right? And one of the gifts I have is because I lived in the wallpaper for decades, is I know how to be in the body. And that's one of the things I do in private one-on-one sessions with my clients is helping you get out of the head and into the body and bringing that alignment of body, mind, and soul together. So thank you again for being so vulnerable and showing up here today, Paula, and letting everybody learn through you and bless through you. So questions or any comments or feedback that you would like to make, anybody else? And if you raise your hand, then Luke can.
Yeah, and I will unmute you
you
if
on
I've
mic.
muted you in the past. So who has some questions for Virio?
You could either type them in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and be unmuted and speak, that would
Okay.
be awesome.
Go ahead, Eric.
No.
There you go.
Ha.
Ha.
Did it. So I'd actually, where did you go? Oh, there you are. I wanted to share a technique that I use and see if you had any thoughts and comments on it or extensions. So one of the things when we do work like this is you'll ask a question and it's easy to blank out. And you're like, well, I don't know the right answer. I don't know the right answer. And so I just wanted to share this technique that I have, and I actually just used it yesterday in a session with Luke where he asked me a question and I blanked out. And then I said, well, okay, I didn't really blank out because there are words in my head. And I said, well, the words in my head are, and then I spoke them. And I just wanted to share that with you. I thought you might have some more comments about that along that line of how to get through that blanking out portion when your brain kicks in.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happening is kind of like we talked about at the beginning, was when we're in fight, flight, freeze, that's totally normal for the mind to go blank. Because the mind, what's happening is everybody touch the back of your head. That's that, where that little dent is in the back, that's your primal reptilian mind. When we're in fear, we go into the reptilian mind. We don't have blood going to our prefrontal cortex. It's going to our limbs so we can run away from the tiger and not die. Okay, so that's normal when you go blank. And if you stop and breathe and just kind of, let your mind know that, okay, there's no tiger, I'm okay, I'm not going to die right now, then that's going to allow you, everybody touch the front of their brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's going to allow you to start to have access to the prefrontal cortex and move towards that confidence and move towards that courage and that peacefulness. So what I love about belief or patterning that you're just reminding me, Eric, is I've used Psyche, EFT, emotional freedom, that's emotional freedom, spiritual technology, and all kinds of other amazing techniques. When you add belief or patterning, it amplifies everything that you're already doing. That's awesome. What it does is you start to clear some of those beliefs so that now you can actually access your toolkit or your treasure chest of gems and tools that you already have. So you actually have better access to them. So I love that it's not this or this, it's this and this. It's this and more. So belief or patterning is going to amplify whatever already are your superpowers. They're just going to get better. So yeah. Any other questions? Awesome question. Let's all blow Eric a kiss for participating. Thank you, Eric. I love that you're participating.
Before
Any
we
other
take
questions
another,
or comments?
yeah, just before we take another question, one must be smarter than technology. And I just realized I can give you all the link for the YouTube video, and I put that in the chat. So so here I'll do it again. And so you'll have instant access to it. But if you want to send me an email at luke@barebonescom.ca. I will be happy to send it to you because I have to actually edit it and put my branding on it and stamp it and then render it and send it to you. So it might not be so later this weekend. But we are 4 minutes left. So what
We have
questions?
one more time for one more, for sure, one more question, maybe two.
Yeah.
I'll stay a little longer if some people want it.
Yep.
Questions or comments? How was that for you?
Well, since nobody else is talking, I'm happy to fill the void because I'm showing up. Uh, again, Vera, you made a comment earlier in the session, and I actually typed a comment in the chat to underscore it. But you said something about you feel like you're going to die. And I wanted to draw, do you remember what you said, or when you said it? I guess what?
Yeah.
You know, so, and I wanted to highlight that to everybody on the session is that fear, and it's related to the blanking out, right? Because it's a survival technique, but some of these things that we have to confront, really, they, you know, you say, oh, it feels like you're going to die, like, well, of course, you know, of course not. But in terms of the intensity and how we experience it, it really is that strong. It really is that powerful. And sometimes dealing with those things are like fighting for your life. Imagine if you're you had an abusive childhood where a child might actually think they're going to die. If you're revisiting those kinds of emotions, they're really, really intense. And you might not even be visibly intense. I mean, you might be able to shield it, just, keeping a clear face, but that doesn't mean inside you aren't facing death.
Yeah, that's so important, Eric, because it's with believer patterning, we're not denying the emotion. We really actually need to feel it. That's why I stayed with Paula at forgiveness, and notice when she had some of the fears come up, the numbness in the body is a sign of fear. We went to forgiveness again. It's really super important that we acknowledge those fears that are coming up because they're real. And if we don't acknowledge them, they will actually keep us hostage there. So it's really super important, just like we would all, if there was a little boy or a little girl in the room that was terrified right now that they were going to die, we wouldn't tell them they're stupid. We wouldn't tell them to smarten up. We would gather them in our arms and we would say, it's okay. I've got you. It's all right. We would be kind and compassionate and soothing to them. So that's one of the things I work with when I work with my clients, primarily women, but I've had what's happened is some of the women have had such huge transformations that their partners and friends have come to work with me as well. So I do have some men who've worked with me, of course, including Luke as well. And so what happens is when we sit down, yeah, we're going to acknowledge the feelings that are there. It's important to feel them, to free them. What happens though, typically with most people, is they feel them, they feel them, they feel them, they feel them, and they spiral and they stay stuck there, or they numb them through addictions or shutting, disconnecting, right? Disconnect is a big one. So with belief or pattern, we're going to feel them, and I'm going to move you out of them quickly to what you'd rather be. We're going to acknowledge them. Really, if you feel it fully, you don't need to be there more than like 2 minutes. Any more than that, and you're starting to spin out and spiral. Okay. 2 minutes, feel it fully, have the good cry, acknowledge it, and then you'll be able to move to something better. Okay. Thank you so much for that reminder, Eric. That was super important. I really appreciate that.
Virio,
Any
we are
other?
yeah, there
Yeah,
was
we're
one
at
comment.
time.
Yeah, time. But just want to say, everyone, if you need, we said 90 minutes into this call, if you need to go understand, thank you very much, Virio, for this. There is one more comment that Jacqueline made that I just want to highlight and whatnot. And please stay on. We're going to stay longer on this. But thank you so much. And Widen Your Gaze Fridays happens every week, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I'll be my next guest speaker is someone that is Colin Christensen, and he does sales training, and he's outstanding what he does. He's also a hypnotherapist, and he's been on many different TV shows. So come for next week on that. And I thank you very much, and thank you, Virio. That was outstanding. So I'm just Virio. Jacqueline is just asking about fear. She has a fear of being alone, and can she heal it? And is it okay with being by herself? And I put in the chat comment, absolutely you can, and that you can help this. But would you like to address that?
Absolutely. I will say that for myself personally, fear of abandonment alone has definitely been something and very common with all of the people that many of the clients that I've worked with. And a lot of it we might not even it typically comes from when we're little, right? That if we did have a moment where we didn't get to feel the feeling when we were little and process it, then what happens is when something familiar pushes up against that old belief, it gets triggered, right? And we feel it again, that fear. So it's very real. And I've supported myself, and I've had my coaches as well support me in moving out of that fear and moving towards something better. So absolutely, I can support you in repatterning that. And that might, that's going to probably take a good session, right, to really sit down. And I apologize. There's a bit of background noise here with my dad. Um, but yeah, that's definitely something that we can repattern. And my sense is it's more of an ancestral yes and a deep soul level. So absolutely, I would love to work with you on repatterning that, Jacqueline, as well. And it's pretty common. And again, I just want to remind all of you, if nothing else, now that you understand the brain, please be kinder to yourself. Please be kinder in your self-talk. Be really kind like you would to a friend or a little girl, a little boy, if it was you. If you're afraid, it's real. Acknowledge it, and the more you can feel it, and actually like lean into it, and just give it space to feel it, that's going to be towards the doorway that's going to support you in moving to something better. So thank you, Jacqueline, for that. Yeah, I would love to
Thank
work.
you.
I'm just getting Virio's email address right now, so and I'll put that in the chat.
I'm happy to stick around for another 15 or so minutes if any other people have any questions or comments or wonderings. It would be my pleasure.
It's Paula again. How does this work towards resistance then when you find that you're resistance to feeling your feelings because you just don't know how or what to feel?
Yeah, first of all, one of the things I do right away when resistance comes up is I celebrate because resistance is coming up because I want you to imagine here's the resistance and here's you. The resistance is coming up because you're pushing up against it because you're trying to be more of yourself. You're here's here's Paula, and now you want to be more Paula. So you're going to come up against every belief that does not serve you probably. The more you step into more of your genuine self, the more you're going to come up against any beliefs that aren't you, and they're going to show up as resistance. So the first thing I do is I actually am grateful to myself. So I might say, oh, I'm so grateful to my mind for all that resistance that's coming up. So do you think I had resistance when I had no internet as of yesterday in my cabin, and then suddenly I go to figure out a whiteboard and come up here? Do you think that it crossed my mind to maybe I should just cancel this session with Luke and not bother trying to show up in a new space? I had resistance that came up, absolutely. And I repatterned myself through it so that I could show up here today. And there's a lot of people I don't know, so I'm stepping into more of Vireo, being vulnerable with many of you I don't know on the call. So yes, I had resistance that came up for sure. And I had to run to the bathroom twice before the call. And even though I know I'd already went, the body will start to have these fears that come up, right? And I knew I really didn't need to go to the washroom, but my body's going, I need to. And it's just like, okay, I just need to calm, right? So yes, resistance is normal, and it's like the uncomfortable. I actually celebrate and look for resistance now because it's actually evidence that I'm growing, that I'm stepping into more of my authentic, genuine self. So celebrate it. So you can say, I'm so grateful to myself for all this resistance that's coming up. I have no internet in my cabin, and I don't know how I'm going to do this session. And oh my goodness, how am I going to expand and step into more of myself? So celebrate it. And there's always a silver lining or a gratitude. Now I know, okay, I don't have my computer. I was able to do it on my phone. I did it up on my parents. So here I am in my authenticity, vulnerability. Not really the background I wanted, but here I am. So yes, resistance is pretty normal. Does that answer your?
Yeah, can you just repeat what it means? Like the belief that, like you were doing the hand and stopping. So it's.
Yeah, so resistance. So if this is Paula, this is how much of you've been so far. Okay. And imagine this hand is still here. Now, you, more genuine, authentic you, you want to be more of you. So you want to stretch from here to here. When you stretch from here, you're going to have this push, this resistance is going to come up and say, no, don't do that, Paula. You might die. Something bad might happen, right? Because it's that fear. The ego wants to keep you alive. Okay, that's its job.
Mhm.
It's your soul and your body and your whole genuine self that actually wants you to grow. But the ego actually wants you to stay the same and stay alive. So it's there to keep you alive. It's not actually there to keep you to grow. It's not there to help you to be more of your best self. So it's like when we can work with belief or patterning, we're bringing the mind and the body soul together so that the soul and body can start leading instead of the mind leading with like that inner critic, right? That chatter part. We can get more the mind being the cheerleader and support part. So resistance, first of all, it's normal. And when it comes up, it's actually evidence that you're stepping into more of your authentic self.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
you're moving away from imposter and you're stepping into more of yourself. Eric.
That's a really neat point too that you made, which is that the things that protect us are not the same things as the things that make us grow. Right. And that's what you just said. You said I think you said the ego is there to protect us. It's not there to help us grow into our authentic self. And identify that those.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to mention to Paula or to everybody, but your question was interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that, and self-help letters to self-help or situations like this or whatever. They said, I don't know how or what to feel. And if you step back and look at that statement, it's like that's not really your choice. It's not. First thing, there's no. You feel what you feel. The goal is to feel what you feel, not to like figure out, oh, what should I feel? Like, because that doesn't even actually make any sense.
It's well,
Beautiful.
I'll do my experience of it is, so if I have something that's gone on like stress or something during the day, I come home after work and the first thing I go to is food because I don't want to feel it anymore. So food is my way of stuffing it down. So I've stuffed it down for so long that I don't know what the feeling is. I just know I
Thank you,
don't want to
Paula.
feel
And
it.
yeah, and that's pretty common. It's pretty common, especially for us as women, because we've got so much out there telling us that we're not good enough and we need to pull this up, lift this in, suck this up, right? So we just end up stuffing feelings down. Um, so first of all, you're normal. That's what a lot of people feel. And then the second thing is I can definitely support you if you want in repatterning so that you can start to hit the pause button before you fill up with the food and you can start to feel what's there. And yeah, it can feel a little bit like we've opened a dam, right? And there's a big flood of emotions. With repatterning, though, we can also make it a little bit more gentler because if we haven't felt and then we open it up and we start feeling, it can feel overwhelming.
Mhm.
And with some coaching, I can support you that it doesn't have to be overwhelming so that you can start to welcome the feelings and it can, and numbness is a feeling too, right? Sometimes it's like, whoa, I've noticed that I'm just kind of like numb. I've just like shut it down. And then you just drop into that, right? So like I said, I used to live in the wallpaper. I know numbness well. I know disassociating and disconnecting. And I know the path out of that. So if you want more support with that, anybody else on the call, it would be my honor and my pleasure. That is my superpower to help you go from. And actually, Luke helped me to. He's like, what is it you give? Well, I really support women and men and women and their families and partners at going from that disconnected from pleasure, disconnected from your body, disconnected from your joys, disconnected from your purpose, um, disconnected from life and others, to move towards being connected to your authentic self, connected to your body, connected to your pleasures, connected to your desires, so that you can be your authentic, fulfilled, on purpose, dynamic self. Um, and Luke really helped me to realize that that's what I bring people. I bring them presence with them, their authentic selves, and connection. So thanks, Luke, for that piece.
You're very welcome. Okay. So Catlin has a lot of gratitude for this, for myself and you, for Vireo. So yeah, thank you very much. And if there's not any less questions, we're going to bring this
And
to
I
an
had
end.
a quick question, Luke.
Yeah.
because you did this on one of your sessions. Is there anybody who would like to either just stay on with everybody else on the camera, or just us after, and just say a testimonial on how this session was for you, where you started
Yeah.
out, and then maybe any wins or insights, and if you recommend a session with me, or also working, being on these calls with Luke. So if anybody's willing to share,
Quick testimony, yeah,
you know,
and yeah, and just your takeaways and what was valuable for you on this. So that would be great. And no, like if you're not comfortable, that's absolutely fine also.
I'm an analytical person. I have to think about it and then write it out. So I will do mine in writing.
Okay.
beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I would love to receive that. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
Sure can. Yay,
Absolutely.
it's working.
Yeah, I just plugged in an Ethernet cord.
Oh,
Uh,
so
I would be happy to try to make a little tiny video testimonial.
okay. And
Beautiful.
thank you very much. Okay. Well, I think we're going to call that a wrap unless anyone wants to jump in really quick. Going once, going twice, gone. Thank you, everyone, so much. And thank you, Virio, for making my day easier and helping me out. I really appreciate it. And this has been, I've been very impressed with people's vulnerability and how they're prepared to actually talk about stuff to, strangers and whatnot. So thank you very much. And you made it a very rich, much richer webinar because you did that. So much gratitude for that. And please come back for more and tell people about it, and make a referral so that they come check it out, because I don't want this to be a well-kept secret. I want this to be a poorly kept secret. So
Awesome.
right. So
Thank you, Luke. Thanks everybody for showing up in your full presence. I really appreciate it. Thank you so
yeah.
much for the opportunity to serve.
Okay. Bye now, everyone. I'm going to close the meeting.